Hey, sports fans! Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you on a Tuesday this time. And we have to discuss lots of things. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Sal to discuss the latest and the greatest in the NBA. Combo, what is going on with you today?
I'm well. I got some jump shots up. I'm doing really well. The Knicks are not doing really well. I know we'll get to that, but you wanted to start with Jimmy Butler, ACL injuries. I have experience with that, so we could talk about it all, Coach Nick.
Absolutely. Well, it was funny because when he landed, wasn't ecstatic about the pass. Like they kind of threw it up way a little higher than it maybe needed to be. And you got to go way up. But, you have to be careful when you land on a single limb like he does with all your weight. You got to be really careful. It kind of buckled inward a little bit. I thought maybe MCL or something. Not that bad, though. You saw the replay, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be able to tell what's going on because there's so many ligaments within the knee until you get that MRI, and that MRI showed the ACL. It's sad, man. I mean, I don't think the Warriors had a chance to win a championship, but this kind of closed the Steph Curry window, if you will. I think it's pretty much over. I think this is more of a Steph Curry retirement tour now.
Well, it's
Or
funny.
farewell tour.
I wasn't so sure they had the team they needed anyway. And like I know they were, they're looking for a trade to do something. Even with a healthy Butler, they needed something else. So I'm not even so sure like they were on a position to like win a title, for instance. That said, there is evidence that they were playing up to some of the competition and can give anybody on any given night a really tough game. Would that mean they could give those teams that are really good 4 tough games in the course of 10 days? Like, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that there was this notion with Butler healthy that they could have made a run to the finals?
If you're very optimistic, but their margin of error was very small, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were good enough. I mean, they're not better than the OKCs, the Denver Nuggets, even the Thunder. The Rockets have been struggling, but the Clippers are on the, the up and up. I mean, look, these teams are just better. So, yeah, in like some weird situation, if you keep fighting through, other teams get injured. I mean, yeah, there's some world that it could happen. And you have Steph Curry on your team. I mean, he's still great. He's an all-star starter. But in actual reality, I don't think they're a legit contender, even with Jimmy.
I hear you. I agree with that. I think there had to be an absolutely perfect way. Maybe one of their opponents has an injury. Like all those things would have to align to give them even a shot at it. So now what's interesting is that what are we going to do? What were they going to do? Because, you hate to see Steph Curry lose another year at the end of his career where he doesn't have like a really good legit shot when, could they have somehow figured out a way to get the roster, in a better shape? I mean, that said, remember when Jimmy got there, it was Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph. When they were playing together, they were elite. They were really great. And then Steph goes down, and then they couldn't compete toward the end of the playoffs. So either way, do you think they're going to make a swing for the fences?
You mean a trade?
Yeah.
Who, Cat, Jaren Jackson Jr., or you need a wing now, right? So who are you looking at?
Right. Well, by the way, the ultimate irony here is that they actually have somebody to replace Butler.
Oh, yeah, but he will not be playing, and he will be on another team soon, and his name is Jonathan Kuminga. And we talked about that on Combo's Court podcast. Go tune in.
I know, but that was yesterday, Combo. This is today.
Okay, right? Tell me more.
I mean, here's.
Oh, I see what you're saying. This opens up a door where maybe we keep Kuminga, right, and just play him and see what happens. Why not just play the guy and see what happens at this point?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, listen, they tried to do that, and he came up with back spasms the other day, right? Like,
well, if they both know that he's staying, I don't think he's staying, by the way. I think it's over. But if they both know he's staying, just make the best of it. Just play him.
Well, it would be a great story, by the way. I mean, even though he's probably still so angry about what happened to him, but imagine if that, like, because here's the reason why they wouldn't play him together. Well, the biggest reason in my mind was that he wouldn't function in the offense like they needed him to, and on the second level of that was the way he wanted to function in the offense, he wasn't good enough to do, right? And I know in my heart of hearts, if he was hitting more of those non-rim paint shots, like those KD pull-ups and stuff, if he hit more of those, they would have been like, okay, we'll handle that. But he wasn't, and so he's putting him in positions. Now you throw in the fact that he wouldn't run the offense, he wouldn't set the screens for Steph when they needed him to, he wouldn't do the handoffs. And that became the untenable situation. And then he wouldn't like use his amazing athletic ability to like grab more rebounds and make defensive plays.
Coach Nick, sometimes you're too smart for your own good, man.
Why?
he's better than a lot of those guys, even if you do look deep into those numbers, and he's not the greatest at that, skill set of knocking down the mid-range shot or shot selection. Like, he's still clearly better than a lot of the guys playing ahead of him. And I think you just let him play.
Right.
You're not wrong in what you're saying, but the other guys aren't better than him.
Right. Well, but as a coach, you need to be able to put the best team you can put out there that can function the best as a 5-man unit, not as five individual players.
100%. I agree with that. He showed that he could play well in certain spots. We talked about this on my show, whether it be contributing to a championship or a long stretch of 20 points per game, or 30-point games here and there. Even in the beginning of this season, it looked really good for the first week or two. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But then what happened? Like, then he stopped doing what was working really well. He stopped believing in whatever he was doing.
So he has the ability. We actually talked about this before, and you didn't think he had the ability. So now we're agreeing he does have the ability to play the Warriors style of play.
Well, okay. Athletically, as a talent like that, he's got more ability than Podziemski and Spencer and all.
He's literally just better than them.
Right. But if you don't use it, if you don't know how to use it properly, and year 4, year 5, then what is the point of playing you? Because then the other players on the team are like, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not getting playing time, and that guy is, and he's getting to shoot these terrible shots. Like,
man, sometimes you just got to play your best players, even if the players are feeling that way. But Pods has been good lately, but he wasn't great all year.
Yeah. He's also he creates a lot of gravity, a lot of spacing that they couldn't. You couldn't play. Like, here's the thing, and I get what Kerr was saying. You can't play Jimmy Butler,
Draymond,
and Kuminga together.
Now you don't have to worry about that.
Right, because then you get that your Cade Cunningham argument about why he doesn't have space, which is why he can't finish at the rim, and that would be what Curry would have, right?
Can we end? Are we segueing? Can we end the Cade Cunningham?
Cade did not look. I mean,
okay. This is the difference between Jalen Brunson and Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham does not have to have a great scoring night to impact the game.
Yeah,
he's very tough defensively, and on top of that, he had more assists than the entire Celtics team last night. Jalen Brunson cannot do that when he's not scoring, and that's what makes Cade Cunningham a completely better player than Brunson, and it's not even close.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, and I'll just say this because I know earlier in a couple other broadcasts, maybe the last pod, we talked about Brunson's defense, and when I was watching some of the Knicks, he just seemed to be on the weak side. It wasn't really killing them too much. I felt like he wasn't necessarily the guy like Cat is. But I went through the Dallas game at least, and a couple of the other games more recently in this 10-game skid. And he is bad. He's getting blown by. He's not in position. He's not recognizing where he needs to rotate to early enough. None of them really are. It indicates to me that either, like Mike Brown was part of the Warriors, and in their practices, they would do no matter what. Like, they might only have a half-hour practice, 45-minute practice. They would get their 15, 20 minutes of rotational defense stuff. And I'm wondering if he's still doing that, or they're still having practices with the Knicks because they're not timing their rotations properly. They're just behind. And so,
I heard with Tibbs, I don't know how true it is. They didn't practice much then either.
Right.
So
That's okay. So that's interesting too. But something's going on now where you see even guys like OG not recognizing that he's got to be there earlier. And then, but a Cat is behind a step and a half no matter what. Like, that's his default setting, which is really a problem. Yeah. Brunson is the same way. And if they're going to isolate, and then in the playoffs, you're going to definitely see whoever Brunson's going to guard, they're going to just go at him. And if you don't have, and then they're going to try playing like Mitchell Robinson and Cat together. They're getting beat up the court on the other side. The transition defense is really bad. I mean, the Mavericks had, I went through all the half-court scores. I'm like, this is weird because the score isn't where we ended up seeing. And then I'm like, okay, let me go look at the transition. And there were so many transition in that first half. They was getting beat down the court. It was ugly. And I think that's the vibes, right? When you start seeing teams that don't get back in transition, there's like something going on offensively. They're not getting back, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We talked about it on my show that when you have Brunson and Cat as your two best players, it's almost an unsolvable problem defensively because teams are going to want to play you. They're going to want to go at those two guys and put them in actions and pick and rolls. I don't think anybody fears them in the East because of that. You seem to be higher on Brunson's defense than Cat's, but that has changed with the information that you have now looked into.
I mean, I was just going to say Brunson isn't as the culprit like that often. But like, in Dallas he was, and so I'm assuming I'm going to go through some more clips, a couple other games just to kind of confirm that and make sure that it's, because a lot of times you'll light up a player saying he's a terrible defender, and you really look at it, maybe it's like 3 possessions or 4 possessions where he screwed up, which is, kind
of a lot. I mean, that makes it that
from everybody.
That makes, I mean, that's what makes the champion, right? You got to be locked in to every play.
Oh, right. So if it's uglier because like it's a straight line drive you give up consistently versus not, like, okay.
This is why the Heat always maximize their talent, because there isn't those 4 plays, Yeah. They make sure everybody's in unison.
Yeah, but we could talk about the Heat if you want to, because what they've done with their offense this year is a what we would call a Shonda combo, an absolute shame. They went to this 5-out thing without any of the weak side screens, no high post touches, very little low post touches, and no ball screens. Their offensive rating is low. I watched the game. Against the Warriors? Was
it low?
I believe that they went away from all the good stuff.
Was it low when Tyler Hero wasn't there?
I believe it. Well, they're 19th now. I got to look. Well, we could do at least the on-off. Let's do that. Let's look at what.
Look at their offensive rating before Tyler Hero came back to the team.
Well, I mean, how about this? Let's look at what the offensive rating is when he's on the floor. How about that? So when he's on,
I still want to see what their offensive rating was in the beginning of the year before he returned.
You think it would be? Do you think Tyler Hero is bringing it down or pushing it up?
Bringing it down.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, when I did that video about them, what they needed was another player to break somebody off the dribble and do all that kind of stuff, which Tyler Hero can do. So I was almost thinking it'd be better.
Well, defensively, it's an issue with him. And then the ball doesn't move as quickly. Right. And he likes to kind of ball stop slightly, but he's also a heavy pick and roll type player. At the same time.
So he's definitely struggling because he's not able to get the advantages he normally would get off of like pick and rolls, for instance. That's a good one. Yeah. So, and if you look at it right now, he's only played 349 minutes in the season. He's barely played because of injuries. On court, the Heat are 106.4 offensive rating, which is 106 points per 100 possessions. When he goes to the bench, it's 114. It's an 8-point swing in better when he's on the bench. So that tells you a lot. Now, a lot of times those are noisy, but that's something interesting to see that they're not benefiting from Hero's presence on the court. And I'm not surprised. I just don't know if anyone's going to really benefit the way their team is constructed. You would need Wade, Bosch, and LeBron to run this kind of offense, which is what they did. I actually showed it in that video. They did this, and then you'd have like Chalmers trying to create off the dribble and like create advantage to start
this. Yeah, at the end of the day, this team does not have enough talent to compete. But I would say watching them in the beginning of the season was a treat. They were playing very well. Jaime Hawkins was getting 6th Man of the Year buzz. Yeah. Davion Mitchell was having a resurgence. They had contributors from guys who came back from injury like Drew Smith. Like they had all these guys that were playing really well. When Tyler came back, things changed a little bit.
Well, I don't forget, Phil Ware is now going through a little bit of something where he's not playing hard, and Spoelstra had lit him up.
Oh, yeah. I hear about him. I'm not going to get into what I hear about him, but I don't think his attitude's the best. I'll put it that way.
And you got to wonder, how does that happen? How it was going so well, and then it wasn't, and then what happened? And by the way, Spoelstra, calls him out, and this is an interesting thing we talked about, how it's just not a good idea to do this publicly, especially if you have a kid who's already, struggling with their attitude. But did you see the cleanup on aisle 6 the next night? When they asked him about it, Spoelstra then had to try to walk it back and try to make it seem like, well, no, we'll get there. Don't worry, I'll get back to it the way what he should have said the first time, in terms of more sort of positive language about it, because he realized, I'm sure that Ware heard that, and it didn't help anybody.
Yeah, the thing about Kalel and even Tyler is that this would probably be the time to trade him before Kalel and Coach Spo, kind of like you don't want the Kuminga Kerr thing happening right before it's time to maybe trade him. And this would probably be a good time because he has a tantalizing talent. He's very talented. Yeah. So I would try and move off of him and Tyler and, get something in return.
Did I see him make a 3 last night?
Oh, he could make threes. I mean, he's shooting it better.
Yeah. So it's like, we can really move, and there's no lob high, too high for him.
For him shooting got a lot better.
But that's the other interesting thing is, ball handling wise, I don't know if we really see him. He's not doing the Wemby.
He's definitely a 5.
And so that player, we have to wonder, how valuable does a really tall player who's like the, running the rim running stuff. Now that said, popping the three is a big.
You know what's interesting? The reason why that player might not be as valuable as it used to be is because we're going away from the heliocentric offense where that one player does everything.
Yeah. I mean, you still should be able to get like penetration lobs and all that stuff. But again, that's still garbage man stuff, right?
Yeah, but it's not going to be like the old Luka, Harden, Trae Young thing as much anymore. Like we're going away from that a little bit. And even LeBron,
Well, yeah. I mean, LeBron is old.
Yeah, what I'm saying is we're not playing like that in the NBA anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That could be an interesting video too.
So like the 3-and-D guy might not be as valuable.
Right.
The rim running big might not be as valuable. A bunch of guys who could play read and react type basketball that the Warriors kind of brought into the mix is like the type of player. Players have to be more well-rounded to make better reads from every position.
Right. Now, the only problem I have with that, I was having a talk with the coach about this earlier, is you want to play 5 out, you want to play like read and react, you want to let them play organically. But if you do that, how do you get what you really need in the important stuff like high post touches? How do you get weak side screens if they're just moving in space or whatever, right? And it's an interesting dilemma because you don't want to dictate every possession and force them to run like a set play every single time. The game's going too fast for that anyway, even at the high school level. So it's like, and by the way, my suggestion was, well, how about this? You designate the one guy in the court who's like, you just get as many elbow touches as you can. I want you to be flashing the elbow as much as you can. If you don't get it, get out of there, come back, whatever. Put that in the mindset. And then maybe you can then, if he flashes there, perhaps you'll get, half the time he'll get a catch. And now you get something. Because again, getting the ball to the elbow is a really devastating position to get the ball in an offense. And I'm seeing too many teams that are handing off on the wing. Maybe they'll put inside ball screen on top, but there's no penetration. The shot clock winds down, and they don't get a tough three. Like that's sort of, I think, what's bothering people in their minds when they're talking about the modern game.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, you know what I mean. So it's like I feel like we need to get the next evolution of the offense because if it's not going to be that. And by the way, like, even with the Clippers, for instance. James Harden's still out there doing the heliocentric down the stretch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like he's one of the best at it. He's one of the best.
So that's what I worry about is now, okay, they get away from it during the regular part of the game, but then down the stretch, we go back to the hero ball stuff.
Who's better, current James Harden or current Jalen Brunson?
I probably Brunson, probably Brunson. But Harden's, still Harden.
I mean, Harden's a better shooter. He's a better passer. And yeah, he's not known for his defense, but he's not as much of a liability on that side of the floor. I think James Harden is clearly better than him.
Wow. I mean, I was doing Brunson MVP talk last week or 2 weeks ago. So,
Okay.
But because down the stretch, I mean, he could do the Harden stuff down the stretch and just hit the most incredible shots you need. You're right. He doesn't throw the ball. He doesn't pass the ball like Harden does. I don't even know if Harden is still passing the ball that way either.
Oh, he is.
I'm gonna have to go through my hard drive.
Yeah. He makes guys better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look.
He also kills any kind of ball. Like down the stretch, we're still seeing it. It's a little bit frustrating in the Clipper stuff when it's close. He just dominates the ball and it doesn't move, and it gets tougher. Which is not necessarily unique. Most teams will do that, right?
Keep talking. I want to look at his numbers. Keep talking.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to Jada Race. We have our first super chat. Don't forget, if you want us to answer a question, the best way to do that is with the super chat function over on YouTube side. It really helps us keep the show going. I really appreciate it. Jada Race is always there for us. Great to see you. Thank you so much. They say Portland has built the almost perfect team to surround Dame. I love to see him win a chip there, but I don't think he'll be the same after the injury. I mean, that's probably true, and rarely are you the same after the Achilles. When is Dame? Dame is not coming back this year, right?
No, not this year. And it doesn't make sense for him to come back this year anyway.
Right. Yeah. But a perfect team around him. I mean, Robert Williams, and that's what you need.
Denny Advia and Dame. Yeah. It's actually interesting if you think about it because it's almost like the LeBron and Kyrie dynamic, right? You got that big playmaking guard forward, and then you got the smaller guy who could create something out of nothing. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And Advia has come out of, we've known about him. He's had promise for a long time.
He's Ben Simmons with a jump shot, Coach Nick. Can you believe that?
What is he shooting from three?
A lot better than he used to.
Yes, because he finally started. Well, I got to check it to this year, but he wasn't dipping when coming out of Europe or coming out from Israel, and it was rough to watch because there was not a lot of rhythm. But he's He's at 35.5% on 6.5 attempts.
And he's taking shots off the dribble. It's not like catch and shoot, It's solid.
And he's generating 10 free throws a game, and like that's been the kind of the big change, right? Because before that he averaged half of that.
I wonder how teams guard him in pick and rolls. Do they go under?
I think I'd go under a lot more for everybody these days, but I'll have to check on it and watch.
Really? The way that people could shoot off the dribble now?
I still don't know if it's worth getting yourself out of position so far to let him get downhill.
Hey, just playing pickup, I go under a lot.
Right? Listen, you can adjust if they start hitting, but the irony is, let's say they hit 2 in a row, it's even more likely that they'll miss the next one. So you should go under like in the third one, right? In theory.
Oh, that's mixing it up is interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. We should probably see a few more attempts at going under just to kind of mix it up. I agree.
So, do you like the idea?
If you chase, if you drop, you're out of position. It's rough.
Yeah. How you feel about Mike Brown influence on the team, and how would you grade his season? Not to change subjects. I think we did well.
No, we can get back to the Knicks.
Yeah. Like, because it's a new coach.
Yeah,
they lost 9 out of their last 11. Should Tibbs have been fired?
Well, we talked about so Mike Brown got fired after lighting up Darren Fox for not closing out on a 3 that they lost the game on, right? I mean, I don't know, but obviously that wasn't the reason, but it was some of it, right? In terms of again, go back to that thing that coaches shouldn't be lighting up players publicly in post-game pressers. You're emotional. The game has just finished. It's not the time. You might say something you regret. But I think it had an effect. We could probably all acknowledge, right? Because soon after that, he kind of got fired. It was sort of shocking. They had been playing better. He seemed like building a new culture, and then boom, he's gone. He did it again, right? He did it with Cat, and he did it last night again with the whole team. They're kind of tuning out, right? It's a problem.
Oh, yeah. There seems to be some issues that is deeper than basketball. On the outside looking in.
What did you make about Mitchell Robinson's weird IG post?
Well, he says that he's okay now.
But what was the post? I need help. Somebody help me. Somebody save me. What did he say? Something that was deeply disturbing.
Yeah. I'm not a mental health professional, so that's not really my lane. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. Wait, can you tell me what he said exactly? Do we have to look it up?
I don't have it in front of me. I would have to look it up, but I know the gist, and I know that he said he's okay. And
I mean, people just don't get okay, and this all of a sudden, let's see if I can look it up this way.
I mean, there's a lot of people out there dealing with mental health issues, and it's tough. It's difficult.
Yeah, I don't see it now. This doesn't look like it's him anyway. Anyway, so yeah, he was down, and then he said, he's better, but just get better, like that, like especially if it's related to mental stuff, but. And is it related to the team or not? We don't know. I think that's what you're also saying, right? It could be something in his life, but the vibes are not there. And by the way, Mitchell Robinson was upset visibly on a couple of those. Like, they contain the ball on a baseline drive, and Nembhard throws the ball up. I don't think it was a pass. It didn't count as an assist. There was an air ball reverse right to Mitchell Robinson's man, dunks the ball, and you could just see him just really pissed. This is like later in the game after they were down by a lot. But
would you be happy if you had to play defense with Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson?
Right. No, because why would you not be happy?
Because they're absolute liabilities, and Cat is not anchoring the defense, and that's your job as a big man in the NBA.
Yeah. But I think even more specifically, you're busy just chasing everybody because they can't keep it in front.
We've seen the clips of Mikal screaming at Cat for being out of position. Like, we've seen all this. This is a real thing. Like, Cat does not defend, and yeah, maybe he's not the most talented defender ever. He is one of the most talented big men ever offensively. But it's like, where's the effort,
Yeah.
Where's the effort?
I hear you. And you're right. And Cat's vibes are about vibes. That's how he plays. And when the vibes aren't good, then he doesn't have the effort. So,
and Cat,
go ahead.
Cat is not that talented defensively, but on top of that, which is probably even the more important talking point, he lacks toughness and effort on that side as well. And that's the biggest problem with Cat.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's take a little quick detour to get back to the Warriors, because we have a very special guest to join the program right now. We have Sam Esfandiari, who is a resident Warriors expert. Sam, how's it going, man?
As well as it could be given last night. And by the way, I apologize. I have construction going on behind me, if you guys can hear that.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's okay.
I'll mute.
We're just happy to have you, Sam. We're just happy to have you. We're not worried about the construction.
So what we got back, we talked a little bit about it, but what's your initial reaction as far as the Butler injury and where they're going to go going forward?
I mean, it's devastating. That's my initial reaction. One, that might be it for Jimmy Butler's career. I know he put out a statement and he's like, I'm going to come back. He's going to be 37. ACL tear end of January. Will he be back before the All-Star break next year when he's 37? Maybe. So, you think of it from that standpoint. He's been an awesome player, potentially a Hall of Fame career. Sucks for it to go out that way, particularly when the Warriors have been playing so well recently. And that's the second part of it that sucks. It did feel like they were starting to turn a corner, get back to the team we saw the second half of last year. A team that looked like with the right trade deadline acquisition, they could be, a fringe contender and make some noise in the Western Conference. So that sucks. But then when you go like meta big picture on it and you think about what it means for Steph Curry's career, then it really sucks because he just got voted in yesterday as a starter in the All-Star game. His peers voted him second in the West, above Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's going to win the MVP. He's still playing at that level. I know you guys have been watching him this year. No one's going to say he's at his absolute apex peak right now, but for a guy who's 37, about to turn 38, averaging near 30 a game on the same efficiency he always does, he's playing at a level we've never seen a guard under 6'6", 6'7" play at this age. And for this injury to come, I don't know if there's moves out there for the Warriors to get themselves even back to this level before the end of Steph's career. So it's just truly devastating. That's kind of where I'm at first when I think about all this.
Sam, do you think Steph Curry finishes his career with Golden State?
This would be the first time I think he probably has to think about it realistically and has to really kind of make that trade-off. Do I want to be the one jersey guy? Do I want to be like Kobe, Dirk, Duncan? Or do I want to, be like Tom Brady? And everyone's going to associate me with that one team, but I'm going to go try to chase it the last, let's say, 3 years of his career. I don't know how many years he has in him. When you watch him play, you think anything's possible. It's why can't he play till 45, But realistically, I mean, the fact that he's doing it now, nearly 38, is insane. And you have to kind of assume he has 1 to 3 years left at this level at most. So I don't know, honestly. I know he's wanted to be the one team guy. It means something to him. Really being the only guy of his generation who will do that. And now it's tough.
I would say Jokic too, right?
Yeah, but even he's a younger generation. And he hasn't.
Oh, yeah, right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jokic turned 30 last summer, I think. Yeah. So, he's got let's see if Jokic is still a Nugget when he's 37, 38. You know what I mean? I have no reason to believe he won't be. But with Steph, you're talking about 17 years with one team. That's a long, long time.
And we don't even know if Jokic would play till 36 anyway. He might want to go play with the horses, after that, another title. So
everyone says that until they put a $80 million a year check in front of them. And then, your priorities change. So.
Yeah, right. We'll see. But now let me ask you this, because, they were in the market to make a trade at the deadline anyway. And obviously Kuminga would have been, part of that. Well, Butler was never going to be part of that trade anyway. So in theory, that's still on track. Are they going to try and sort of pivot this? Or interestingly enough, do they somehow convince Kuminga to just take the Jimmy Butler role?
I mean, you would think they have a little more leverage with Kuminga now because they have to play him. In theory, he'll want to play because the role he wants is the role Jimmy had, and they need someone to do it. They need someone to score. They need a forward who can get downhill, who can operate around the rim. Mm-hmm. That's what Kuminga's best at. So he should get a runway right now. And now they have the they're telling teams we don't have to trade him, and everyone's like, BS, we're not buying you. Now they could realistically say no, we're not trading him. We literally need him right now. So I don't think it changes their long-term feelings on him. I don't think now he's the franchise piece, but now maybe they have a little more leverage to be you know what? We don't need to trade him at the deadline. we kind of need someone to fill that role. And if you make us a good offer, sure. And if you don't, hey, we need someone to fill out, we need someone to give us 20 points a game from now until the end of the season, one way or another. So I think it's too soon to see how it plays out, but if there is a silver lining to it and it's not really one, it's like, hey, at least they got a little leverage in that situation.
Yeah, they do have more leverage. Is there a downside to just letting the guy play? Like just giving him 35 minutes? Like, let's see what happens. Is there any downside to that?
With the state the roster's in right now, probably not. Like,
right. Yeah.
Just being realistic with it, it's like the reason they didn't want to give him the runway is they felt like they had a 50-plus win team playing the way they wanted to. They thought they had proof of concept from last year when he was injured, and quite frankly, they did. I mean, they won 12 of their last 16. They're rolling. He was always kind of an awkward fit with Jimmy, period. Like, they operate in the same spots on the court. Now it's like, okay, maybe you can win a little more playing the system without him, but what's it really getting? You're a 500 team at best right now, So I don't see any reason why not. Like, I just think you might as well throw him out there at least from now until the trade deadline, if not beyond it. And to your point, what do you have to lose? At this point, you need to be experimental.
Right. So who are they targeting, do you think, up until that point as far as trade deals?
So I think it was actually coming together pretty clearly what they needed with Jimmy. Like, they clearly needed a younger, more athletic, true 3-and-D front court player, which, like, yeah, everyone and their mom wants that, right? Everyone's looking for a 6'8" guy who can actually defend and can also stick open shots when the ball swings to them, right? Everyone's looking
like a OG, right?
Exactly. Yeah, everyone wants that type of player. But when you're looking at kind of the way the roster is shaking out, Melton has looked phenomenal, so they felt pretty fortified at the 2-guard spot. Jimmy obviously does his thing. The center is going to be a rotation of Draymond and small ball lineups, Horford, Quentin Post. It was obvious the move that they wanted was to find essentially what Andrew Wiggins was for them, right? And maybe the trade was to bring Andrew Wiggins back, right? Now it's a completely different story because you have no second option. And you still have those kind of depth questions. So I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, having thought about this for realistically 12 hours at most, I think they need to be far more open-minded to what they're looking at. There needs to be less rigidity about this guy doesn't fit Steve Kerr's system, because they just lost their second best player. They just need talent at this point, right? They need to look at buy low situations. They need to look at like a Zion, a player they probably would have had zero interest in when they had Jimmy. Well, he's really talented. Yeah, it isn't working out, and I understand the question marks about him, but if you can figure it out, it's better than adding a role player at this point. Like, those are the routes I think they need to start looking at those players who we know have all-star upside, but for whatever reason, it's not working where they're at.
I'm just wondering, was Giannis ever on the table?
I mean, they would like him to be on the table.
I mean, I always forget this. It's like, yeah, they'd have to trade Draymond, and they would never do that, I guess, right?
Why would the Bucks want Draymond?
Well, expiring contract, yada yada.
Oh,
but as far as the numbers go,
Okay.
I'm of the impression that if the Bucks were willing to trade Giannis and he was willing to sign an extension, the Warriors would give them anything but Steph Curry. You can have all the picks, any of the players, whoever we tell the media will never trade. You can have them. You can have, 2 of Joe's kids. It doesn't really matter. Like, they're like Giannis and Jokic are like in that it doesn't matter what you say. If you can get them, you get them category.
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting because it's like, there's all that the notion of fan base and whatever. But
sure.
I mean, you're in touch with the fan base of the Warriors anyway. Are they still just like livid that Kuminga has been treated this way, or were they ultimately able to see in a realistic manner like why it wasn't fitting, why it didn't merit playing time for him this whole time in the season?
Different people have different opinions, but the overarching theme I hear is fatigue over the situation. Like, I would say there's probably more anger at management. Some of it at Steve Kerr, but more of it above Steve Kerr, where it's like, we're in year 5. Your coach clearly doesn't want to play him. He doesn't think he fits. What are we doing here? Like, if you have that much conviction that he is your future franchise player, get rid of your coach, or if you believe in your coach, and you should, because what he's done has worked for you, then you should have moved him 2 years ago. So I think it's just fatigue. I mean, it's 5 years of it at this point. Really, it's 3 years of this point of, because the first couple of years you were seeing what you had. He was young, it made sense. He didn't play much as a rookie, even year 2. By year 3, you should have kind of known, is this a guy we want to build with, or is this a guy who makes more sense for us to trade for a different type of player?
Yeah. I wonder if you agree with me, because in my mind, the shots that he wanted to take, the Kevin Durant style shots, those midi pull-up fadeaways, I have a feeling like had he made them more than he did, they would have tolerated that more than they did, right? My take on it was because he just wasn't making enough of those, and he also would blow easy shots near the rim too, that it was like, we can't afford to, hold your hand for a season until you figure this out, which you don't seem to be figuring out.
Yeah, it's a combination of that and kind of just defiance towards the game plan. Yeah. I think better than anyone, nothing gets under a coach's skin more than when they feel like a player is purposely ignoring the game plan. Yeah. It's less about execution and more about effort. And I feel like that's kind of where it was with him. So it wasn't just, taking shots that he shouldn't be taking. It's like he knows the coaching staff doesn't want him to take that shot. And he's like, F it, YOLO. I'm going to do my thing, Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where you get at when you get at this space of lack of decision-making on both sides. So that's why, in my opinion, most of the blame kind of goes above Kuminga and Steve Kerr, kind of goes to the GM, ownership, whoever's in charge there. You either manage that situation and get everyone on the same page, or you have to make the decision. One of you has to go, and we got to be aligned. There's been no alignment there.
Do you feel it's a real basketball decision by Kerr, or it could be more personal between Kerr and Kuminga?
I think it's a basketball decision. I think at this point it's probably reached some personal levels. There's just frustrations on both sides, but the core of it is basketball. The core of it is basketball. Come on, man. Steve's a Hall of Fame coach.
Did you hear Austin Rivers' rant? He made it seem like it was, he made it seem like it was super personal.
Yeah. I understand how players feel about it, because they're always going to side with other players. I don't have a problem with that perspective. The thing I keep going is, if you feel like he's being held hostage, be honest about who he's being held hostage by. Think what you want of Steve Kerr. He's a clear communicator. You don't think he's told management trade him 100 times over? You don't think he's made it clear that he doesn't buy into my system unless he does X, Y, and Z? I can't play him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, before we let you go, Sam, I got one question I just noticed in the comments. I think it's an interesting one. It may be crazy, but let's just pull it up here. They say, is Butler an expiring contract? Could they trade him for AD? Because there was a bit of a rumor that AD might be able to come back from that injury he has on his arm. But I also have to think that the optics of trading someone like Butler after getting injured would probably be bad for the Warriors as a culture, in terms of ever wanting to have another player come there and play as a free agent. What do you think?
So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying they have to be a little more outside the box with buy low scenarios. AD is a buy low. We all know how good he is and how talented he is when he's right, but the last year and a half, it's not been good for him, and it seems like health. I don't think it's going to ruin the Warriors if they trade Jimmy and use him essentially as just a contract filler, the way that you're mentioning it, and I think they have to explore it. From being honest with you, just the new CBA and how restrictive it is. You cannot have $60 million or $50 million or whatever. I think this number is actually 54 sitting there and doing nothing. So I don't think it'll ruin them for future free agents. Now, the real question is who really wants to take it? Because it's not actually an expiring. It's 1.5 years. That might be something that's more on the table in the summer. Someone who's we want to get rid of X player and we'll just take Jimmy so we can be off the money in a year type of thing. Mm-hmm. But that's the corner they're backed into. None of these are easy or obvious decisions at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they're they're in the second apron. They're right on the edge of the second apron, right? They're about to be,
They're on the edge and they cannot go into it because when they signed Al Horford, they used the taxpayer mid-level. So that hard caps you at the second apron. So if you're going to go play with the trade machine after this, just know that they can't add money to get above the second apron, at least for the remainder of the season.
Yeah. And then the tax liability already is extremely high, right?
Sure.
Out the nose as it is. So it's a troubling situation. It's really unfortunate. I wish that pass wasn't as high as it was, where you had to get that high to go get it and then land. Also, cautionary tale: don't land on one single limb with all your weight like that if you don't have to. Can
I ask you, do you put the blame on the pass? Because Jimmy is like very adamant about always wanting the ball high. Like he likes those type. Yeah, he always says throw it high, I'll get it. Like he likes to call himself a wide receiver. He's like, I want to moss the ball, like that sort of thing. He likes to, particularly like when he has a smaller guy like Davion Mitchell on him, like throw it there, I'll get it in the post. I'm either going to get a layup or get fouled. Every time.
Well, that's true too. I mean, I don't like that's when I'm coaching and I'm receiving. I don't want to have to sit there waiting and then go up that high for it if I don't have to.
Sure.
I don't think he needed to, but it was freak, a little bump. It wasn't a huge bump, right? It wasn't a massive,
right. He wasn't undercut that hard or anything. That was like a pretty standard play you see.
Yeah. And it wasn't even that much movement on the landing either. It wasn't like, it's a car wreck, I can't watch it again. Right. It was, you can see it. Oh, okay. A little bit of here and there. And it might not even be that severe of a tear, but obviously at that age and where he is, it's enough where he's out for the season. So it's really all those things are too bad. They got snake bit last year as well. I mean, he got his legs taken out from him on another high jump and landed on his tailbone. I think it's safe to say he was playing injured the rest of that playoff series, right?
Yeah, he was limited the rest of the way, and this also brings me back to why it's devastating for the Warriors and Steph Curry. It's like what happened to Jimmy. It's sad, but like also that tends to happen to older players. Like it's hard. It's a young man's game, right? Like he's already defying the odds playing at the level he is at 36. So when you see someone like Steph at 38 doing what he's doing, it's really insane. And then now knowing that there's like a 1% chance they figure out the miracle trade to get themselves back to the level they were at. It's just devastating.
Even more to the point where needed to have gotten this roster right 2 years ago, heading into this period of his career. But Curry's not the only one to have had a career like getting toward the end where the teams have not been able to support him enough and figure that out. And that's sort of what happens. And, the guy's won 4 titles, has been to however many finals, he's done a lot and stuff. So we'll have to see. Do you think that Kerr's on the hot seat?
I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat, but increasingly I would not be surprised if he just walks away at the end of the year and it'll be kind of painted as mutual. I feel like this increases the possibility. Steve's a veteran coach. He's a very accomplished coach. He really only wants to do things his way. He doesn't really want to coach young players. He wants to coach veterans who understand his system. Very Phil Jackson, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah.
The Warriors may be pivoting to a different stage of their trajectory where they need someone who's more of a teacher, better with young players. So I would not be surprised if this Jimmy Butler injury kind of forces their hand. Maybe they make some moves at the deadline that are more thinking about next year than this year. And maybe they go, and maybe Steve in the offseason is like, you know what, I'm done. And they're like, great, we want to bring in a coach who's younger and a little, more adept and hungry with working with younger players. So I don't know if that's where it's going to land, but increasingly I've been thinking about that since the injury. If you ask me pre-injury, my take would have been, as long as they end the year strong and have a nice playoff performance with Steph and Jimmy, I think he's back next year. I don't think he's walking away. Now it feels like there's a very realistic chance they're just going to go in a different direction.
Interesting. All right. Well, Sam, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and breaking that down for us and giving us all the insight, as always. Just tell everybody out there how they find you and all your content.
Yeah, check me out on the Light Years podcast. We'll have something out today with our reactions to the Jimmy ACL tear and what we think the Warriors will do. And you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever it is, you can find it. Just search Light Years.
Awesome, great podcast, great stuff as always, Sam. We'll see you on the next one.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, take care. All right, we got a couple more minutes with you and me.
Yeah, that was great, man. Shouts to Sam.
Well, Sam has his finger on the pulse, if you will.
That was good. That was good. That was great information. Yeah. Definitely.
And so, it is rough. And by the way, we didn't even discuss the implications of like Steve Kerr's position, because he had said he wanted to finish. His contract ends this year, and Steph has one more year, and they were talking about overlapping for one more year. But this could change things.
It's so crazy for Steph, right? Like, he's playing very good basketball, as Sam just said, but it's almost going to be, I don't want to say like, I just love to hoop for the sake of hooping. I'm sure Steph does too, but it is meaningless basketball at this point if there's no major moves made, right?
Yeah, well, that's the only question. Can we just sort of suck the marrow out of the bone of his, playing, and it's really just enjoy it for what it is?
Yeah, he can. He seems like that type of guy, right? But it is difficult.
He's got the MVPs. He's got all the titles. He's got, 95% of the players don't have a title. You know what I mean? Like, he's done all that. He's got so much more.
But the greatest competitors always want more.
Yeah. It was. There are not a lot, but some. These superstars in the NBA who like end up spending a lot of their careers like never having a roster good enough. Melo was probably in that realm for a little while. Who else did I say recently?
There's a lot of. How about even back in the day, like Dominique Wilkins, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's plenty of guys.
Great teammates. They were great professionals. They played the game as hard as they could, but like the teams just couldn't quite figure that out.
Dame Lillard for years.
Yeah, Barkley.
Yep. I mean, Barkley had a team with the Suns, though. He had a chance. He just ran into Michael Jordan.
Right. And then he went, jumped over the Rockets.
I got a Michael Jordan take for you. You know how they say in the 90s, like, peers weren't really buddy-buddy. They weren't as nice to each other. If you go look back at those Michael Jordan VHSs, they admired Michael Jordan more than players admire other players now, the way they talked about him. Like, Clyde would be like, he's the pro's pro. Like, we look at him like this. Or even Isaiah Thomas back then was praising him in ways that we don't see players praise other players. Players praise players today, but there was more admiration for Mike than there, let's say, even a Steph Curry or LeBron James from other players.
Well, it's quite possible that they did it because they knew that if they said anything short of that respect, he would use it against them and destroy them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, I just had a post with Dana Barros talking about like if MJ was liked or not. And it was some of that. Like, he would find ways right in his head, even if he had to make it up in his head. So that he wouldn't even have to make it up, to your point. Yeah.
And because Michael would make stuff up to motivate.
Yeah, that's what Dana was saying. Dana said the exact same thing.
So it's like they didn't probably want to get involved in that at all because he was singularly like that. Now, another take on Michael Jordan was, back in the day, all those Knicks fans, they would complain bitterly. And they would complain a lot like people complain about SGA, about the calls he'd get. And I'd always be like, yes, you're just basically arguing that you want them to be able to beat up on him because that's what you want. They were so physical back then. But I have a feeling that it's possible, like, if I go through that footage, I might find plenty of SGA style calls he got. You can't touch him. They used to say that you can't touch Michael Jordan, whatever, right? Meanwhile, some of the other files you saw were like, the guy would go to prison now if they did that to him, right?
Yeah.
So I find that might be a very provocative video if I go back and find that like 50% of the calls he got were like a lot like SGA, man. Like, where was that foul? And he's instigating the contact and yada yada. Like, it easily could have been that way, and we didn't have social media.
There was people back then that was very negative about Mike, right? Like that he got all the calls,
I think it was focused on like the rivals, right? Like mostly everyone else loved him. The Western Conference, I'm sure he was a star. He was iconic. But I know the Knicks fans, particularly because the Knicks kept going up against him in the playoffs, and then they'd beat him.
Well, it was Houston that really beat them though in the finals.
Yeah, right, in the finals for sure.
Yeah.
And so, I also know that when I got out to the West Coast in the late '90s, and he was still playing. Remember, he's still in the second and third titles, or the seventh and eighth titles. Yeah, there was still this sort of take that he's just dunks the ball a lot. I swear to God, there was that. I heard coaches even saying that they didn't
what's crazy about back then? You couldn't even watch full games.
I know, right?
So you could watch the NBA on NBC, but that was like once a week, and if it was a marquee game. Well, like there was no league pass.
They had TNT, but they wouldn't be on. They might.
No. Mike's era didn't even have TNT, right?
They did.
Really?
In 86, 87, they were around for sure. Chicago got cable late. We didn't get cable in the city of Chicago until like 1987 or 88. And
All
I
right,
remember
you
CBS
couldn't.
featured thing for the NBA back then.
If you were not in Chicago, you could not watch every Michael Jordan game.
Yeah, well, it was on WGN. You could watch. If you couldn't watch every game, you could watch almost every game for free, either on Sports Channel. Remember that? I don't know if they had
Yeah. It was almost like a flag, right? It was like the sports channel was like a flag.
WGN was that, and by the way, that means that WGN carried probably 20 games a year.
All right, so you could watch before he won a championship. I'm asking you, you could watch every Michael Jordan game.
No, in fact, like some of the playoff games, like his rookie year, I'm not sure they aired the playoff.
That's what I'm saying.
85.
Yeah. I'm sure after he won the championship, they found a way that everybody could watch every Michael Jordan game. But there was probably a time that you couldn't, and people weren't. Like now, people will tune into like a team that's not even in their city every game.
Well, I absolutely. So the impressions that you have of Mike would have been really skewed too, right? Even then, and you may not have appreciated like the footwork and the post ups and stuff like that. So, it's wild. Like what social media has done has gotten us all together. It's given us access to all these games, and we have more information. We're smarter, all this stuff. But it's also ramped up the hate, and all that, and all the irrationality and all that stuff. So, Doug knows what he's talking about over on Facebook. He's the Cubs and the Cubs were a big had a big fan base across the country because they were on WGN, which had flagship had stations locally across the board. Anyway, well, good stuff. I know you got to get out of here, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, good stuff. Great. So glad we had Sam in here to break some more stuff down with us. Really sad about the Jimmy Butler thing. I mean, listen, if you're not even a Warriors fan, you should be sad because, it just takes away, from what Steph could be doing and that team. It's fun when they're playing.
Yeah, you never want to see any guy get injured. And it's life even more than basketball. Like just dealing with an ACL injury is not fun at all.
Right.
Like you can't
even. They played great against the Heat and pulled away without Jimmy. But again, they need more talent. They need Kuminga. By the way, what a story that would be if Kuminga turns it around and starts to and scoring 25 a game. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I think it could happen. I say if I'm Kerr, just like forget about everything and just let him play, man. Just let him play.
That'll definitely be in my next video when he gets out there. So, Combo, I tip my cap to you. I tip my cap to everybody else out there. Thanks so much for being part of the show. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Yes, sir.